welcome to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
Today's episode, we're talking about the royal family.
Yes.
And whether the British public respect them or not.
Yeah, this topic was requested by a follower.
It was requested by a follower. We can't remember who now. It was a while back now.
It was a while ago, yeah.
It was pre-COVID times. Well, not for pre-COVID for us.
I swear, you guys, I think that was one of the things that happened when I had COVID, was that my memory just I don't know if that's a symptom that anybody else has experienced.
Where am I?
But
what am I doing here?
I literally, just mid-conversation, my brain just goes completely blank. I have absolutely no idea what I was saying.
That happens to the best of us, yeah.
Eesh. But yeah, this topic was requested by a follower. Just basically wanting to know whether people in Britain respect, I guess, the job,
the British
position
people,
that the royal
respect the work they do.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean,
we put it out there quite last minute, didn't we?
Yes. We're terrible, you guys. We're so very professional that, we're about to record a podcast and then we're like,
we haven't done months of research into this one episode.
We're like, we really should have asked some British followers that we have, for their opinions. And so we give everybody 5 minutes to reply, and then, they don't. And so,
well, yeah, we got a couple back.
We got a couple of replies. Yeah. But this is mostly going to be our opinions. Obviously, my opinions based on the British people that I have met through Dominic. So,
the ones I've introduced you to.
Yeah. And just kind of what I've observed from television and just people online's general attitudes and stuff. So, yeah. I mean, what do you think, first of all? In your opinion, do British people respect the royal family?
I say it's half and half. Really,
yeah.
It's split down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I think you think you see a general Republican attitude and republicanism. Meaning get rid of them, get rid of the monarchy, abolish it. Get rid of the royal family.
Yeah, so Republican in Britain, it's always funny.
Well,
isn't
it's
it?
not a party. It's not a party. It's just
it has nothing to do with really
it's
conservatism.
No.
Yeah,
it's like a republic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I guess is what you'd call America, the Republic of America. Instead of calling it the United States of America, because it abolished the monarchy.
Yeah.
But really, you see a lot of people going, yeah, get rid of them, and moaning and groaning about them, and they're parasites and whatever, and they don't do anything, and whatever.
Yeah.
And then the other half is like, oh, love them,
yeah,
love a queen, love Charles,
yeah,
love Wills and Kate, love Harry and Megs, because they're someone to talk about. And someone to get into.
You think that's the only... I don't think that's the only reason.
Yeah, it is. Because you see, in Britain, they love a good gossip, and, that's what they're there for, So it's like, oh, what are they up to now, eh?
No, knowing you...
And of course, there's people like that, like my gran was a fervent royal supporter. She was a royalist.
Okay, well, I wasn't thinking about your gran. I was thinking about your dad and other people that that I have met through you guys. Well, I will back up and say that, first of all, being an American, I didn't really have any sort of idea how British people felt toward the royal family. It was just literally nothing that ever crossed my mind.
Well, yeah.
I guess I just assumed the royal family exists. British people must like them, all right,
And that's pretty much how it is. I mean, British people must like them, all right. The people who moan and groan about them, but it's like if someone from another country said, "Yeah, you should get rid of them," then they go, "No, they're a symbol of our heritage, aren't they?"
Right. It's kind of like I can talk about my family members.
You can't talk about them.
Yeah.
Razane, Queen, lover.
But so when I met you and your dad, I mean, you're not really really anti, and you're not really like for like love them.
I'm
either.
apathetic towards them, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't mind them.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they suddenly decided to close up shop tomorrow, I wouldn't be like, oh no, that's a terrible...
You wouldn't miss them.
I wouldn't miss them, you know, because, I mean, I don't know them at the end of the day. You know, they're not my family, you know.
But I guess, well, I'll ask you this in a minute, but meeting you and your dad and the people that, you know, and introduced me to, I was really surprised by how many people didn't like the royal family. Like, I just, you know, I hadn't thought about it one way or the other, but then when you kind of start hearing everybody going, oh, you know, hate them, get them out of there, you know, I was really like, oh, okay, then why do they exist if, like, everybody doesn't like them? And it seems like there is a very strong, I don't know if strong's not the
strong
right word.
republicanism.
No, there's like
streak.
there's a large number of people who don't really care for the royal family.
There's people who really hate them.
Who really do not like them.
Yeah,
who want them out.
Yeah.
And so I guess I probably started thinking, oh, well, most of Britain actually doesn't really like the royal family. You know, just using the people you introduced
yes,
me to as like my sample of
Welsh
the British
people.
of the well, oh yeah, that's true. I didn't take that into consideration. Maybe that has something to do with it.
I mean, if you're going to go with like the dukes and lords and ladies and everything of like, I don't know, Highclere Castle or whatever, you know, and
they're
the
very
House
pro.
of Lords. Well, obviously they're very pro. They're like, oh yes, I used to go shooting with Charles.
But I
when
mean,
I was
do.
a boy. Yeah.
But I do see like online a lot of like anti-royal kind of stuff. Not anti, but just like the general British population. It seems like doesn't really care about them. Like they're just like, ugh, who cares? You know, they're nobody. They're, you know, whatever. But at the same time, then you have the royal wedding. And there's loads of people turning out
royalists turning out for it. Yeah, I mean, they've got some fans. You know, they're still
mall.
selling some albums. You know, they're doing okay.
Lining the whole mall all the way down to wherever it starts. You know,
yeah.
There's like just so many people sleeping overnight just to like catch a glimpse.
And the funniest thing is, right? It's over here. There seems to be more of like a pro-royal sentiment than there is in what I grew up with, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they just exist in Britain, you know. They're part of the furniture, you know. So it's just kind of like, oh, Prince Charles is coming to the thing to cut this ribbon, or you know, Prince William is coming here, and you know, oh, the Queen's coming there, and Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like, it's just, oh yeah. You know, it's like part of life. It's like, you know, she's the head of state.
It's like the castles that you guys pass
it's
on
like
your way
the
to
castles,
school or work.
they're part of they're part of the thing. You know, it's like, oh, that's just the castle, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
You know, it's just, oh, it's up there by the castle. You know,
but I guess,
and you know, you find that so crazy that people are going to Greg's and there's a castle right across the road. You know,
yes.
Like, how can you do this?
How can you be like just going for your breakfast sausage roll?
We
and
take
like,
it for granted because we grew up with it. You know.
And there's like a medieval castle across the street. It's just
been
so
there
bizarre
since 900, you know.
And you're just like, oh yeah, the castle, so what, you know?
Alfred the Great lived in it, you know. It's all that kind of stuff, you know.
Okay, but I guess the real question, because you say, oh, you're like apathetic. People just go, oh,
yeah.
they're
I'm
just
not
there,
like I'm not vehemently get them out of there, but I'm not vehemently, oh, they've got to stay. You
okay,
know?
But the real question. The real original question that we were supposed to answer is, do you respect the work that they do?
I do respect the service.
Yeah.
That they do. You know, the ambassadors, you know, for the country, and you know the work for the charities, you know, being patrons of charities and stuff.
Yeah.
But of course, there's some that I don't really like.
Some members,
yeah, which don't come across as well, and you know, they're the obvious ones, you know.
They don't seem to do anything.
They don't seem to do anything, and they seem to get into lots of trouble.
Yeah.
And fall in
more
with
trouble
the wrong
than they're worth.
Than they're worth. And it's just a case of like, you know, it's like you've been handed this immense privilege, and you've chosen to squander it, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about, and you know, just to be clear, because people are going to be like, oh, who do you mean now? You know, I'm not talking about like Prince Harry and Meghan. That's their ball game, you know, really, if you want to call it. You know, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm talking mainly about like the Duke of York, Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's old enough to know better at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could say Harry is too, and, you know, Harry and Meghan are too, but it's like, I can understand how they don't want to do, they're not, you know, they're not in line to the throne. You know, Harry's not in line to the throne now, and he's even being pushed even further down. Unless something catastrophic happens, he's got nothing. You know, he's got no responsibility, as it were. Yeah. Except to do his duty as a royal, which he just wants to get rid of. Yeah. Apparently. Well, you know, which you know caused a kind of minor crisis within the royal family when he said, "I'm sod it," you know. Yeah. I'm off to America or Canada or whatever, you know, to live with Meghan, and that's it. It's
like a whole topic unto itself.
It's a whole topic unto itself, and again, the people who are like, get them out of there, get them out of there.
Well, because I don't
They're
know.
mad at Harry for abandoning the Queen. He's like, how can you abandon your gran at her time of need?
Well, I think the issue is that they sort of, they want to give up their titles or whatever, but they want some benefits.
The thing is, what they're thinking of is, we'll be okay because we've got connections to the family. Yeah. Which we will exploit to the full.
They still want security. They still want,
the thing is, they're paying taxpayer money back. You know, the whole thing about Frogmore Cottage, they use taxpayer money to renovate it. And then they're all like, oh no. And it's like, they've got an inheritance. Because the thing is, they're wealthy, the royal family, but they're not that rich. They're not hugely rich.
Because all the palaces and everything belong to the crown.
The crown. The crown is whoever's on the throne.
Yeah.
Which happens to be his gran at the moment, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, when she goes, it'll be his dad, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, everything belongs to the crown. It's like, like the presidents who come in to the White House. Yeah. The White House doesn't belong to them. It's not their house. It's just that's a public thing. But again, it's the same sort of thing it's kind of weird in Britain because you don't elect a queen.
No, you know? They're just born into it. It's
hereditary. Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like that belongs to the crown, and the crown belongs to what?
And the point
it doesn't belong to the people.
And I was going to make a point when you said before they're born into privilege. I was going to argue that, is it a privilege though, really?
Is it a privilege?
I mean, it's a privilege in the way that they have everything like handed to them, obviously.
Everything is handed to them.
They didn't have to work for anything.
They don't have to like do manual labor, let's just say. I mean, because people
they don't have to work at all for what they just are actually literally born. When they are born, they have.
They have, yes. They have whatever they desire, you could say, within reason. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're born, and it's just like you've got someone telling you, okay, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah. You have to do this. You can't do that. You have to be here at this time. You have to be there at this time. Oh, don't put that down. Don't say that. Don't go there. Don't be seen with that person. Oh no, you can't. You're not allowed to wear those shoes. What are you doing?
Yeah, instructed by everyone who knows the thing better. And, you can understand why, looking at that, you can understand why he wants to get out. Yeah. Why Harry wants to get out.
But you can't have your cake and eat it, too.
You can. But the thing is, again, it's like, oh, I'm a celebrity already. The press know who I am.
I thought you were going to say, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
I'm a royal family member, get me out of here. There's your new reality show right there.
Oh my God.
Who knows? In 30 years, it might be happening. Yeah. I'm a royal family member. Get me out of here.
Sometimes I think that if Harry had been had been the elder, had been the one to inherit the throne, it might have gone that way because he's just that kind of personality.
Well, that being said, he became that personality because he was
the second.
The spare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Explain the spare, just for any Americans we have listening who don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they've changed the rules or whatever in the monarchy, but, they have the kids and the firstborn is the one in line.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a brother...
It used to be the first boy.
The first boy, yeah.
But now it's just...
Now it's just the firstborn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
the Queen changed it too.
Yeah, they changed it, boy or a girl now, because of everything, And it's just like, but now it's the firstborn, and if you have another kid, he's a spare.
Yeah.
Just in case the firstborn dies.
You have an heir and a spare.
An heir and a spare.
which is horrible.
Yeah.
To call your second kid like, the spare.
It's like, the spare. And so the spare gets to have all the fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how it was with Princess Margaret too.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
Queen
originally...
Queen
Elizabeth's sister.
Yeah.
But the thing is, she wanted to be queen, but it's like Elizabeth, was probably like, nah, you don't want to be queen. You just want to be Princess Margaret. You want to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what Harry wants to do, what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And it's like he can to a certain extent because it's like, oh yeah, we're not readying you for this role.
Yeah.
We're not readying you to be king.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be king unless something catastrophic happens, which probably won't, because now he's had what was the first child that William and Kate had? George.
Yeah.
So he's in line now. Then Charlotte. Then
Louis.
Charlotte's the spare, and Louis's the spare.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like if George has kids, boom, on we go, unless something catastrophic happens, as I say.
Right. Or if they decide, I don't want this, like Edward
and abdicate,
did.
Yeah. And then, well, I mean, that whole bloodline right there has, just gone, because it's like that, Elizabeth's dad, they were fine. They were happy.
Weren't meant to, he was the spare.
He was the spare.
They needed that spare tire.
They needed that spare.
Yeah.
Because the wheels quite catastrophically fell off in 1936. And it's just, I mean, it's all documented.
They were never meant to be.
They were never meant to be. They were meant to be the extended family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right now, if Edward had kids, and his kids would have been in power or whatever, but,
Right, so...
They were destined for it, I guess.
So, what would happen, and I mean, I'm not implying that you're some kind of royal expert here.
No, I haven't done much research on the royals, I'm afraid.
But do you happen to know what would happen if Charles decided he didn't want it? Would it automatically go to William, or would it go to his sister? Well, I don't know if it would.
I don't know what would happen.
His sister's older than him in the first place, though, isn't she? So
everybody thinks he's desperate to be king.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks he cannot wait. But after this long, I really don't think. I think
what difference is it
going to make? Yeah, I mean, him being coronated and stuff, it's just going to be okay, Yeah,
I always wonder where people think. I mean, where people get that from, that he's so desperate to be king,
Because they, it's that kind of like classic trope of like, can't wait to be king. I just can't wait to be king. The Lion King. It's just like that kind of thing. And it's like, after this long, when she goes, he's going to be king for however long he has left. Really, which might be a while. It's...
Is he 70 yet?
Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's around your dad's age.
Yeah, he's around 70.
Yeah.
So it's like, because people are all like, oh, well, it's just going to go straight to William. When, and it's just like, no.
But so you don't know then what would happen if he said,
If he said, nah, they'd probably have a freak out.
Well, yes.
And they'd be like, okay, yeah, we need to find someone to fill this role. Let's get George Lazenby, But
I wonder, I mean, would then go on to William? It probably it shouldn't really, should it?
It shouldn't. I mean, I don't know if they probably just think, oh, you'll have to talk to the royal guide who drafts all this. And
like fantasy football.
Like
drafting your teams for fantasy football.
That's probably a case of like, oh, we have to emergency royal protocol 57C, you know.
Yeah.
In the case of emergency, we have to...
Because Andrew's next then, isn't he? Because they've already skipped Anne.
They would do everything they could to keep him out of there.
Oh, jeez.
They'd probably go straight to Edward for... Edward.
Yeah.
They go, Edward, please.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine if Charles was like, nah, give it to Andrew?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the coronation's going to be in the Pizza Express, is it?
Oh, jeez. But it seems like it wouldn't go, you know, because I've heard people say that before, like, oh, well, Charles may just pass it right on to William, you know, and just let it, like, skip over him. But I don't think he has the luxury to decide that. He has the luxury
to decide it. And I know he'll be invested, you know, or coronated, as I should say, you know, because he was invested as prince in 1969. But
I think as a punishment to his line, if he decided he didn't want it, they would not pass it on to William.
No,
it would go to the next
it would go to the
kid,
next
right?
brother,
It would go to his next sibling.
Yeah, it might even go to Anne with the thing. It might just go, yeah, okay, Princess Royal, you're up.
Yeah.
But so you didn't think this was going to happen, did you?
Right. So then her kids would be next in line.
Yeah.
What's her...
They might surprise everyone when the Queen does and goes, oh, actually, Anne's going to be Queen now.
Oh, my God.
Princess Royal Anne's going to be Queen. And people will be like, who's that?
Yes. No, I genuinely think a lot
of... Charles is like,
Definitely a lot of Americans don't even know
the Princess
Anne
Royal.
exists,
She was the first
I don't think,
born,
you know.
Yeah, she's a little bit older than Charles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not medieval now, you know. Everything's changing, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got it all worked out, you know. Like if Charles decided, which obviously he's not going to.
We're hopefully past the days of the princes in the tower, you know, and everything like that. So look that up too, if you don't know, if you're not familiar with it.
Well, I mean, realistically, they don't have as many benefits as they did back then, do they? You know, they don't have as many luxuries. And I mean, I'm saying that, and I know there'll be people going, oh, what are you talking about? They live in palaces and da-da-da.
Yes,
you know,
and I mean, they're funded by the civil list, which was set up by the government.
Mm.
When because the English had a civil war in the 1600s, Oliver Cromwell briefly seized power.
Yeah.
And that lasted for 10 years. Then they restored the monarchy with King Charles II.
Mm.
Or was it Charles III?
No idea.
I mean, I get, you know, I'm all mixed up with my timelines of kings and queens and everything. But when it was, you know, that's the funniest thing because, you know, France had a revolution, got rid of their king.
Mm.
They've been a republic ever since.
Yeah.
You know, since Napoleon took over and everything, you know, but and other places too, like Russia did it, England did it, and then decided we'll have them back, you know. It's actually, you know, it was that kind of like the softening spill. It's like, okay, so, you know, we'll have it back, you know.
Yeah,
because
I
mean,
wonder, are they the only country that where that's happened?
I'm sure not. I'm sure it's happened in other countries too, but maybe not. Maybe I'll have to look that up. Another thing, you know, we'll have to look up. But the continuation of it, you know, they decided we're going to have a parliament and a prime minister.
Right.
And that'll be the governmental power.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you'll just be the king or the queen,
or
whatever, and you can just be you can just be subservient to us now, the people.
Yeah.
We wanted you out,
mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
First of all. And
we'll let you stay in power, but you're going to do what we tell you to do.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's like, you know, basically taking away the power from
Or
her.
I say stay in power. They don't have any power really, do they?
They have certain powers that a head of state has. Which is what, why the president's so...
Well, she can declare war, can't she?
She
but then
can,
Parliament will go...
Parliament can say, nah, maybe not.
Yeah.
She can declare war, she can do that, but nobody declares war
she
anymore.
She can't still say, though, like, off with his head, though, can she? Or can she?
I don't know. I mean, we don't know what the laws entail, like if you did something really bad in front of the Queen, like, I don't know, killed a corgi or whatever, in front of her. I'm sure you'd be arrested for it.
Yeah. That's the thing, is she
but
does
it
still
would be
have
arrest that man, throw him away, and, off with his head.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? I think she still probably has quite a bit of power, but it's just like, she's not going to use it because
Parliament... It's figurehead power.
Because Parliament can just go... What are you, crazy? No,
what are you talking about? Because what happens is, people get order MBEs and knighthoods and stuff like that. It's not like the Queen suddenly wakes up and thinks, you know what, I think I'll knight Ed Sheeran today.
Right.
Or, David Attenborough, what's he been up to? I think I'll give him an OBE or whatever.
Yeah, they give her a list.
They give her a list. Yeah. And it's like a birthday honours and Christmas, New Year's honours and stuff, So it's the Parliament who, they draw that up and then they give it to the thing and they go, okay, this is who you're knighting today.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, the Queen goes, I'm not a fan of Ed Sheeran. Why do I have to give him an MBE?
Yeah.
It's like...
They're just like, do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And so, Charles will do it or whoever. That's a duty for them to go.
But I mean, like,
do,
so, like, in a show like The Crown...
Yeah.
They sort of make it appear, and I'm assuming it is probably fairly accurate. They show that the Prime Minister goes and visits the Queen every however often.
Yeah,
and they have like meetings about
to give her an update,
just stuff that's going on, and the Queen gives her input as to what
it's like
what
a council.
Should be going on.
It's a council,
and it's just like a little private meeting between the two of them.
It's just to keep her updated.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, well, we've got this thing happening called the Falklands War.
Yeah, but I think she's allowed to go, oh, I didn't agree with that, and they can just
she
go...
does, but she can, as they were saying, it's like, it's very unlike her to disagree with her Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Publicly,
but I mean, in these meetings,
in these meetings,
she
you can say, you're an idiot, stop doing that,
Yeah.
Cameron or... Theresa May or whoever, Boris.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing, Boris? You know? But she can't go into the papers and go, you know what? Get this guy out of here. What you doing, Britain?
It's like a little private council, isn't it? Like, they're just having a little meeting and she goes, I don't agree with the way you handled that press conference that everybody's talking about, and you should have said this instead or whatever.
I think, they're not supposed to come down, because it's like they're not supposed to show partiality to one side or the other in political debates. They're not supposed to be for the Tory government. Right. They're not supposed to be for the Labour Party, or whoever. It's supposed to be... So when they come and they go, oh, so we had a few technical difficulties, whatever, and they're supposed to go, oh, really? Oh, well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out, Boris. We'll figure out this whole COVID situation and everything. You just do your best. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if he's just going, we're not going to vaccinate everybody. We're going to stop vaccinating. We're just going to let people die.
Yeah.
She'd be like, no, I don't think you should do that,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they kind of dramatized that in The Crown with Thatcher and her, like not getting along and someone let slip to the press,
Yeah. I think they made it seem like she did. She told somebody to
They made it seem like that, but who
knows?
They'll never admit that,
Yeah. Really quickly before we get to, a couple of replies that we had, I just want to say that I think that the royal family brings a lot of tourism to Britain.
Yeah, it does. I mean, they're a draw.
And so, I think they're worth it in that way alone. As I've said on this podcast
There's
before,
intrigue.
I think they're a bit of living history. I mean, obviously every human being on this planet is living history if if they research their own, you know, family's history. It just so happens that, you know, we don't have to research this family's history because everybody just knows it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, back to a
public.
certain point anyway. Yeah, it's public, it's taught, you know.
Yeah.
So they're kind of just like literal things you can look at. Literal things. I'm not expressing myself very clearly, but you know, they're figures of actual history.
Yes.
You know,
they come from a long line of you know, like, you know, not directly descended from Henry VIII and everything.
Directly
you know.
descended from Queen Victoria. At least.
Victoria, at least, yeah.
I don't know how it goes before that, but
yeah,
but yeah, I think the tourism. I at the same time I understand the British people not appreciating having to pay for their lifestyles, you know. But I think it's something like 88 pence a year or something, isn't it? Per person. It's like, really, can you? I mean,
you know, they've probably upped that to £1 now, but you know,
if they got rid of the royal family and knocked all their palaces and stuff down, like, I think, you know, there wouldn't
be much of a savings cost.
No, there wouldn't be as much of. I mean, there would still be interest, I think, in Britain for people around the world, but I really think that the fairy tale lifestyle, you know, because they're the only royal family anybody can really name around the world, you know.
Well, yeah, I'd say they were the most famous royal family in the world, because I mean, Denmark has one, you know, and there are Spain has one too.
Yeah, there are still royal families in other countries that I think people are unaware of, actually. And I just think that, you know, they're worth it for the tourism alone to just keep them around.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a couple of replies.
To
our last minute query.
Yeah, we asked, do you respect the royal family, why or why not? And, you know, we just had someone say, some yes, others no. So I guess that means members of them, you know?
Yeah, and I think we can probably guess which ones.
Yeah, yes.
Which ones no, anyway.
And another one was, as people, some of them. The Queen, especially, has given remarkable service to the country. As an institution and as hereditary head of state, absolutely not. Just the suggestion that people are born royal and therefore better than everybody else is completely against everything I stand for. I mean... So, you know, it's like, as a person, it's like, I respect your years of service, you're like a veteran now, you know, you're a veteran. But, you know, as an institution where, you know, you're born and instantly, you know, you're better than Tom, Dick, and Harry.
But I mean, are they
not Harry, but, you know.
You know, I think that's subjective, though, whether anybody thinks that they're better than anybody
well,
else.
It's kind of
point,
like, oh, well, I'm royal, you know, so I've got to go through and I've got to get to the front of the line. And I've got to, that's what I mean. You know, it's like everyone's born equal with equal rights.
Yeah,
surely. But this person, some are more equal than others, as the famous saying from Animal Farm, George Orwell goes. You know,
right.
And it's like, that's kind of like, nah, you know.
But they've been ordained by God, haven't they? You know, so God
ordained by God.
God himself has said
that's Henry VIII stuff. That is.
God himself has said that this is the most important family in the land.
This is the one you should look up to. Yeah. On Instagram, so neither here nor there, to be honest. Yes, they bring in up to £1 million. But as an entity, I feel they're pretty much a symbol of former glories.
Well, yeah.
That's true, you know, it's like, oh yes, during the war they were very popular, the royal family. It was like, oh yeah, very national pride and everything, you know, like the king. And, you know...
I mean, it goes way beyond the war. It goes way back to the British Empire.
Yeah, the British Empire. Oh, yes, the British Empire. Taking our country back. Which is what's going to happen with Brexit. We're going to start taking over the world again.
That's the idea.
That's the idea. We're going to have Boris and sending out Andrew to take over people.
Oh my God. But yeah, no, I think that's very, very accurate. I mean, I think that's my whole point when I say that they're worth it because they bring in tourism. That's the draw, isn't it? That they're living history, that they're symbols of past glories.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are. And I think that I think people find that interesting, though. Really, people not from Britain.
Yeah. I mean, obviously over here, people are like, oh, fairy tale, castle, just a go prince and princess, and you know, it's kind of like, yeah, but.
So I think that they don't necessarily deserve respect for just being who they are.
Yes, because, instantly stepping out of the palace, and
yeah, because they're just people, aren't they? Yeah. But as you mentioned, they do a lot of work for charities.
Yeah.
Things like
and
that.
Some of them work tirelessly for it, so, it's like, engagements. The Princess Royal, I think she's the busiest royal, And
Princess Royal is...
Princess Anne.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they deserve some respect, for the work that they do. Anyway.
Yes.
Well, what do I know? I'm American over here.
Anyway, I think that kind of covers everything.
I think so, yeah. We hope we answered your
we hope
question.
We covered this topic well.
Yeah. I mean, I know it was a little bit. But, you guys, as we always say, this is the point of this podcast is just to have a discussion. Like, we hope you're not coming here to learn the be-all and end-all of any topic whatsoever.
Yes.
Because, we're just having a chat over tea and a buddy, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
So, we don't know anything more about anything than any of the rest of you do that are having a chat over a meal or a drink, But we hope we're entertaining nonetheless.
Yes. If we've been entertaining, we've done our duty as royals.
Yes. If you guys are unaware, it just came to our attention recently that we apparently don't really mention that we're on social media often enough.
Oh, yeah, we're on social media. Instagram.
We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. Everywhere we are at Butty, TEABUTTY. So, if you want to engage with us on any of those social media platforms, you can find us there. And I guess maybe we'll try to start mentioning that more often for those of you who are just kind of tuning in late in the game. We've done over 200 episodes now.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, this is the 218th, I think.
Oh my gosh. You guys, thank you so much.
We're well on course for 300.
As always, for tuning in. We really appreciate your support, and we will talk to you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.